Hello everybody, getting ready to do lesson 3.2 part 3 classwork today for Algebra 1 Math. And on your classwork sheet you got 20 points. Students, have that out in front of you now. Put your name and date period here on your PC, your iPad, your iPhone, your Chromebook, your PC, your paper. Part 3 of graphic equations. Let's go right into page 1 today. And example 5, solve a multi-step problem. The distance d in miles that a runner travels is given by the function d equals 6t, where t is the time in hours spent running. The runner plans to go for a 1.5-hour run. Graph the function and identify its domain and range. So step 1 here, identify whether the problem specifies the domain or range. It does. Graph the function, identify its domain and range. You know the amount of time the runner plans to spend running. We do know that is 1.5 because time is the independent variable here. The domain is specified in this problem. So the domain would be your time. So that'd be on your horizontal axis. The domain of the function is 0 is less than or equal to t, less than or equal to 1.5. So we do know the domain, all right? So graph the function. Here is d equals 6t here. Distance equals 6t. This will be your line. Make a table of the values. So here is t up here, and then here's d in miles. D is our output, t is our input, and so t is on our horizontal. We have 0, 0, we have 0.5, we have 1, and then we have 1.5 as our inputs here. 1.5, our output would be 9 for 1.5. For 1.5, we would have this output here, which is 9. So identify the unspecified domain or range. From the table or graph, you can see that the range of the function is 0 is less than d, less than or equal to 9. So we start from 0, and then we finish up here at 9. Here, 0 and then 9. Okay, so we know our range. Let's go into a gas cost question here. Gas cost. For gas that costs $2 per gallon, the equation C equals 2G gives the cost C in dollars, because it's $2 per gallon. 2 times each gallon gives us our cost. So you plan to pump $10 worth of gas, graph the function, and identify its domain and range. So this is our guided. This is your independent down here, students. Let's do it right now. So we have our cost equals 2 times the gallons of gas that we use. So for 0 gallons, our cost is 0. 2.5 gallons would be $5. 5 gallons would be 10, etc., like that. So the line for that cost function would be here. For 4 gallons it would be $8. For 5 gallons is $10. For 2 gallons is $4. So our domain here is 0 is less than or equal to g, less than or equal to 5. So here's our domain down here. And then our range is our cost is our money up here, and our range would be 0 less than or equal to c, less than or equal to 10. So we have our range there. Here again is our domain, and then here's our range here on our vertical axis. Okay, so what about it? So let's get into another one of these. Solve a related problem. What if the runner in example 5, suppose the runner in example 5 instead plans to run 12 miles. Graph the function, identify its domain and range. So again, we need to identify the problem, specifies domain and range. Graph the function, identify both domain and range. You were given the distance that the runner plans to travel, which is 12 miles. Because distance is the dependent variable, the range is specified in this problem. The range of the function would be 0 less than d, less than or equal to 12. That is our range, and then our domain would be the time, right? Graph function, to make a table, you can substitute d values be sure to include 0 and 12 into the function of d equals 6t and solve for t. So here's our time up here, 0, 1, and 2, and then our range is 0, 6, and 12, and then here's how that is grafted down here, d equals 6t again. So 1 hour, we're gone 6 miles, 2 hours, we've gone 12 miles. So identify the unspecified domain and range from the table or graph. You can see that the domain of the function is 0 is less than t less than 2. So the domain, which is down here, is between 0 and 2 hours, and then our range would be the distance. Okay, graph the function with a given domain, then identify the range of the function. We have y equals 3x minus 2. The domain is x is greater than or equal to 0, so we have, here's our domain over here in quadrant 1, and then you got something different down here, students. I'll let you handle that. We're guided up here, so here is our domain right here, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then here's our range, -2, 1, 4, and 6. And so here's a graph of that line. When x equals 0, y equals -1, I do believe. Y equals, well, no, it's -2. This is -2. When x equals 0, y equals -2. And then when x equals 1, y equals 1. When x equals 2, y equals 4, etc. So there you go. There's the graph of your line. That's your lesson for today, students. Animated PowerPoint math video at AOL.com for questions or course materials. Thank you very much.